Hello and welcome back to the DFS Premier League show brought to you by VIP-bet.com. I am your host, Kevin DeVries. Joining me, as always, is my good friend and partner in crime, Rob Blandren. He's right over there. Say hello to the folks, Rob.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Boxing Day in advance. It's pre-Boxing Day, I guess we'll call it. It's set up for a nice little slate, 7 games. A lot of guaranteed prizes this weekend. I think there's 12 contests of guaranteed over $1,000. Some for bigger, higher rollers. Some for you beginner and entry level players. But it's going to be fun nonetheless. That's why we're going to be here to talk about all 7 games and talk you through who to add, who not to look at, and figure it out.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. There are 8 matches on the day, 7 that are on the slate, which is a lot. There are going to be a lot of match weeks compressed very quickly. We're not yet exactly sure how we're going to do that for you folks, but we'll do our best to get as much information to you as possible, while also noting that you might not care at all, because you might have holiday plans of your own. But we will kind of keep you guys apprised as we figure out exactly how we're going to handle this busy holiday period. But as we both said, there are so many matches, so we're really not going to fuss about here at the beginning. We're just going to jump right into it. The first match, well, not of the day, but of the slate, is Arsenal versus West Brom. And I think you need to scroll all the way down to the very first guy on the list, with Alexis Sanchez. He's 9,600, but with Hazard likely missing out due to injury and De Bruyne being so expensive, I think Alexis is really going to be my headliner in most of my teams. I know that West Brom are decent defensively, but Alexis has a goal or assist in 5 straight matches, and over that period, guess how many clean sheets West Brom have?
0.
Correct. So I do think Arsenal will get on the score sheet one way or another, and I think regardless of whether it's him scoring it or him assisting it, that Alexis is going to be involved in that Arsenal goal. For who I don't like, it would have been too easy to go West Brom defenders. So let's go Arsenal defenders. Here with Nacho Monreal on 100. He has more than 9 points just once in the last 10 matches. And like West Brom, Arsenal cannot keep a clean sheet for their life right now. What is it, 1 in 9 now? 1 in 10?
1 in 9, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's really, really not good. As for the result of this match, I do think Arsenal eke it out, although a score draw wouldn't shock me. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
That's not a bad shout. I'd probably I don't think West Brom get on the board here. I think it's 2-0.
Yep, absolutely fair. From that match, on to you, talking all things Burnley versus Middlesbrough.
I like the games that I have this week. We split it up 4-3. You got all the big highlight teams. I got the lower level teams. But you know what? There's a lot to like about these games because these are the differential guys, the people you build your lineups with, the people that have value dollars attached to them. First guy in this game that I like that jumps out to me is Gaston Ramirez at 7,200. We saw him come back last week. Middlesbrough's a little bit of a different team when he plays. His last 3 games are 11, 25, and 16. Yeah. But that's not the important thing. Look at his crosses in the last 3 games, 2, 9, and 8. This guy is the magician of the ball for Borough. When he's on the field, things happen, and he helps the people around him. And that leads me into the second guy I like in this game, and that's Alvaro Negredo. He had 2 goals last week. 7,000 is his price. If you're looking for a secondary striker with everybody else going to be rostering Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I'm sorry I'm jumping ahead, Kevin. I know that's your game, but everyone's going to be using Zlatan Ibrahimovic this week. Zlatan and Negredo at 7,000 line up fantastically. Burnley, I don't like pretty much any of them. Maybe if Goodmanson was playing, I don't like him. But given how many teams are on this slate, given the prices that are for Burnley, since they're all on the cheap, I think that you could probably squeeze pretty much anybody else on another team from a better matchup, even the Leicester-Everton game, the Swansea-West Ham game, that you could probably squeeze comparable price-wise talent into your team and completely fade Burnley in this. I see this game being either 1-0, 2-0 Middlesbrough.
Yeah, Burnley obviously struggling in attack, and Middlesbrough quietly have the 6th best defense in the Premier League. So I agree with you there. I think some Middlesbrough defenders could be on the menu as well. Man, Burnley do score annoying goals every now and again. I'm gonna say they spoil the clean sheet. I'll go with a 1-1 draw in this one. Pardon me. Now on to Chelsea versus Bournemouth. You got to be careful about this guy at the very top. Eden Hazard on 9,500. It sounds like he has an injury. They'll keep him out of this match. But in this format, you can wait and find out. I think if he ends up being, what's the opposite of a late scratch? A late unscratch, a late start.
Early addition? I don't
Yeah, then I think Hazard would be very interesting against a Bournemouth defense that is second worst over the last 5 matches with 12 goals conceded. I think then Hazard could be very interesting very quickly. But who I'm actually going to talk about is somebody that you kind of poo-pooed on our FPL podcast, but that's Michy Batshuayi. He looked legit in his first few matches of the season, then kind of went absent for a while. He's perfect in this format because if he ends up not starting, which is Rob's concern, you can just take him out. Obviously, there are a lot of forwards around that 7,000 price tag that you can kind of plug him with. But if he does play, I think he brings a lot of value. He was easily the second best striker in France last year, but better than Lacazette at times, genuinely. And as I said, this Bournemouth defense has been very, very poor of late, so I think you probably want to avoid, leading into my people that I hate, you probably want to avoid, like you were saying with Burnley, most of the Bournemouth players, but I'll specify the Bournemouth attackers, because they're really hit and miss on a good day. And up against the league's best defense is not a good day, especially considering they're traveling to Stamford Bridge, where we already see Conte putting together the starts of that Mourinho run that he had for so long of clean sheets and wins at Stamford Bridge. So I think roll with pretty much anybody you like from Chelsea, but Bournemouth, maybe not so much. I think this one could get a little bit out of hand. I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to be a blank, and Chelsea gets on it. I think the one tout that I think you need to look at this game, if you're going to roster anybody from Chelsea, I think Marcos Alonso is the guy. I know defenders are you don't really like to spend for defenders, and his price at 6,300 is a little bit pricey. He's approaching James Milner type territory, but he does enough across the score sheet, and maybe possibly him on set pieces now with that killer left foot could be a boon to your daily lineup.
For sure. You say you think Chelsea blank them?
Yeah, it's either 2 or 3 now.
Cool. All right, and then on to you, talking us through Leicester versus Everton.
Guy I like up top. There's no Jamie Vardy. There's no Vardy party in this game, so I'm gonna look to hopefully his replacement or somebody that can do well in his stead. And that's Islam Slimani at 7,100. Don't look at his past 4 games: 4-1, 19-2. He's a little bit goal dependent. I'm worried about the build-up. I'm worried about the people around him that'll make him, score the goals because he is goal dependent. So from that standpoint, I'm a little leery about Islam Slimani. I'm not worried about his price at 7,100. Look at the bigger price names on this docket. 2 out of the top 5 players in the whole slate aren't even playing. We already know this. Diego Costa, Sergio Aguero aren't even playing. So you take those 2 strikers out of the whole thing. He's automatically in the top 10 because of who he is and where he is based on by attrition, basically. Basically, who I don't like in this game, the Leicester defense. They've been bad all year. I know this game's home. They've been worse on the road, but this game's home. They don't have Fuchs right now. And Fuchs is kind of like their, the guy who stirs the ship. I know Wes Morgan and Huth are there in the back as well, but no Fuchs is a downfall for me for the Leicester defense. I don't want any kind of investment in defense in this game. I think both teams tally. I don't think any team gets enough from a defender to warrant them being rostered here. So score-wise, I say this is probably a 1-1 tie.
Yeah, I think a score draw sounds very likely as well. No Fuchs is a big issue for them. Is Jagielka back in time? Yeah, he's cleared from his suspension. But I like Coleman and Baines a little bit more than the Leicester defense, but unfortunately that's reflected in their price, which makes them pretty much worthless.
Wait, Jagielka's back? Hold on, I want to change my score. It's 6-1 to Leicester.
Harsh, but maybe not unfounded. All right, I will now talk about Manchester United versus Sunderland. Rob thought he spoiled my thing by bringing up Ibrahimovic, but he has not. And it worked really well for me 2 weeks ago. It worked really well for me 3 weeks ago. Last week, but wasn't that excited against West Brom to begin with. And it's Ander Herrera. I loved what you get out of him. 5,500 still for a player that's almost guaranteed to start. The most creative player in that team when Mata's not in there. And I just think he's super valuable. In this match, you got to like him going up against Sunderland, even though Sunderland have improved. All credit to them. They're still not good, in quotes. But I really like Ander Herrera for this value. I know there aren't loads of big-ticket guys, but getting a midfielder in that is going to start and is going to have chances to tally assists. Oh, and that's another point. He doesn't need goals and assists to get points. He fills up the stat sheet really well. And so can mitigate any downfalls. You can have your Pogba at, 70, what is he, 75? Yeah, 7,500. And you have Ibrahimovic, who's also not a bad shout in this one. I'm just saying, don't dismiss Ander Herrera, because while those big ticket guys are guys that you have more trust in when you go into a match, guys like Herrera are exactly how you catch up to the pack. You mentioned that your matchups, you have a lot of those guys. I think Herrera, even though he's on a big club, can be another one of those differential guys here. Also, kind of stealing your stees, if you will, from a couple weeks ago. Phil Jones at 3,300 is very interesting. Sunderland, I think, have the second worst attack in the Premier League at the moment. Manchester United, a top 5 defense, so you got to like that. And on the other side, Jermaine Defoe. Listen, I love Jermaine Defoe. As a player, loads of years at Tottenham, love the crap out of him, love that he's kind of found a renaissance at Sunderland, but he doesn't do that much for you even when he's scoring goals. There are 2 matches in the last 10 where he scored and assisted, and he only had 20. Like, 20 is a good haul, but if it's De Bruyne that gets a goal and an assist, that's like 35.
Yeah, it's like 35 to 40.
Yeah,
Easy.
So Defoe being very limited in that role, he's very goal dependent, and against Manchester United's defense, I just don't see it this week. I do. All of mine are super easy. I think Manchester United probably walk this one. I'll say 3-1.
Yeah, that's probably a good goal. I think Sunderland do tally though. I think the clean sheet is a
I'm just not sure it's Defoe, unfortunately. I think this could be one of those Anichebe ones.
It could be
something
like
annoying like Januzaj against his.
Could be a freak goal by
Wait,
Wabi
is Januzaj
Kazri
still on loan?
No, he's still there. Yeah, so he can't.
So he can't play them. Yeah. Interesting.
So maybe
it could be a Wabi
Kazri
game.
Yeah. I think United walk this game. It's going to be like 3-1, 2-1, something like that. But United won't be in any struggles in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine. They're finally hitting form, and a lot of it's because of Pogba and Ibrahimovic, who I already mentioned plenty. All right, now it's time for you to talk to us about players that should have been better this year for Swansea and West Ham.
It's funny. There's 7 games on this slate, and I laughed when I was doing research and looking at players and prices for this. But this is probably one of my more favorite games of the whole of the slate.
Because the defenses are awful.
Both defenses are awful. It offers a ton of potential for goals. This game has the markings of 4-2, 4-3, 3-2. There's going to be some goals in this game, and it leaves a lot of offensive options for both. Mainly for West Ham into play. Everybody's going to look at and roster the Dimitri Payets. Everybody still believes in Mikel Antonio. But the guy that I kind of like here is I think there's going to be a defensive goal here. And I'm giving the tout to Aaron Cresswell. I think that he's going to come up from the back at 4,500. He does just enough as a defender also to give you the little, the ancillary points, the crosses, the tackles won, the fouls received, to give you the, basically he'll be a top 8 scoring defender this week, I think. The guys I don't like in this game, I said this on last podcast. You kind of love and hate Gylfi Sigurdsson in this game, but I think that this game is set up for Gylfi Sigurdsson to do a lot. At 9,300, he's one of the more expensive players on the whole slate, but he does enough. Look what he did last week. Didn't do much, but he still scored 18.5 points. But he does because he takes every basically possible set piece corner, and that's a boon to you. That is a complete assist to you. Score wise, like I said, this game could be 3-2 West Ham. But it's definitely not staying clean in any state of this of thinking.
Yeah, I love your Payet points. His underlying stats are absurd, which is ridiculous. Obvious in this format because you see the point tallies every week. But a thing that I just thought of while you were talking about that is that Payet has the most crosses taken and the most corner kicks taken in the Premier League, and Swansea have the most headed goals conceded. And the worst defensive record against set pieces. And West Ham has the guy who scores the most goals. And
West Ham has the guy who scores the most headed goals in Mikel Antonio, and Andy Carroll's fresh back too.
Yeah.
So if anybody plays other formats of DFS like basketball and football, basically Dimitri Payet is basically the poster child for DFS scoring. He's basically the David Johnson, the Le'Veon Bell. He's the Russell Westbrook. He's the Harden for the Rockets. He's basically that guy. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't have him. But his price wise tends you to lead you to fade him in other directions sometimes. But in this kind of game, he's probably going to score in the 30s. He might. For my money, he's the most owned player this week.
He could easily touch 20 without a goal or an assist. He had 17 crosses last week.
17. Yep.
Absolutely bonkers. You already gave us your score line. Man, Swansea are in a bad way. Oh, man.
It's either they score 3, give up 3.
I'm you know what? I'm going to back your Cresswell pick. I'm going to say 3-0 West Ham. And they keep it, what would that be, their third straight clean sheet?
Yeah, 3 in a row.
Yeah, that'd be very impressive and not at all unlikely, even though Llorente is dangerous, and you already mentioned Sigurdsson. I was going to say Modou Barrow, but he'd be up against Cresswell, but Cresswell gets forward a lot. Yes, that's a tough read. All the DFS picks are going to be fun in that. Just don't go Swansea defenders.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to wrap up with Hull versus Manchester City. For me, I just like the lower price guy. I like Leroy Sané. He is perfect for this format because, again, kind of like Batshuayi, if he doesn't play, you can just ship him out, not have to worry about it. Bring in Wabi Kasri. But if he does play, he'll be very dangerous. He avoids the Pep Guardiola issue with the whole start set. You and I both very frustrated with what he's done in fantasy lately. But Sané, the last time basically in the last 10 matches, every time he's played 70-plus minutes, he's gotten at least 8 points, which you like. You figure he's probably going to get the start. Got 15 last week against Arsenal's defense, who are still supposed to be good, but they continue to concede goals, keep failing to keep clean sheets. But in this one, up against Hull, it's the league's worst defense still. If Sané starts, I think he'll just absolutely terrorize El Mohammadi, who gets forward too much for his own good. And unlike last time up in the Premier League, isn't actually doing anything with it. If Sané doesn't start, then it becomes Sterling up there. If Sterling plays on the other side, it could be Nolito. If Nolito's on the left, then it could be Navas. Any of these wingers I like. Iheanacho is interesting. I've seen a lot of people dumping him in other formats. I think this might be the start, which will make that very awkward for people. Also worth noting, considering his success when he does start. But I think Sané at 5,900, kind of like the Herrera at 55. If he plays, that's a lot of value for very cheap. And for people I don't like, I'll give you a hint. They wear orange, so that's not very pleasing at all. But to be fair, I don't really like any of the defenders or goalkeepers in this match because Manchester City have looked very poor at the back as well. Fernandinho's still 2 matches away, I think. Before he returns, so that's iffy. So anyway. Yeah, that's my wrap on that one. This one's gonna be bad. I'm gonna say 4-0 City.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think this
there
game
could be a Snodgrass goal.
Yeah, but 3-1 is a good tout. I think Hull may score.
You know what? I just thought of one person I wouldn't hate from Hull, and that's where's his price? 5,500. Mbokani. Mbokani looked so good last week. I mean, I hate that he didn't score, but easily could have had 2. There was one where he rounded the keeper and just missed it, and you're like, But Mbokani against a leaky City defense could have some value, especially considering that one of his greatest strengths is his pace, and Manchester City and their old defense would struggle with that.
I mean, obviously the key name on this whole slate on this game is Kevin De Bruyne.
And so expensive.
I know there's no way that you can compete. It's either Dimitri Payet or Kevin De Bruyne this week, so you're gonna have to flip a coin. I know De Bruyne probably has the better matchup for team-wise against Hull, but I think from a competition standpoint and a daily standpoint, I think Payet is the play here. Even and he's a little bit cheaper too. So it's hard. It's hard to go against De Bruyne, and I kind of want someone from the City attack. So this is one of the games that I'm going to be paying attention to lineup-wise, because I think I want Raheem Sterling, who scored in 2 straight Boxing Days, like I mentioned on our other podcast. If anybody's listening to that and this, and they're back in it. Or if Nolito gets the start as well. I think those are the 2 interesting names there. You know, Nolito's 7,600, so he's a little bit cheaper than Raheem at 8,600. So if Nolito gets a start, he could be an interesting play in there for a last minute and a percentage differential.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. What you got score-wise?
I think it's 3-1.
Fair enough. City. With Mbokani or Snodgrass?
You know what?
They're both your guys. Mbokani more from last year, but
how about a Michael Keane goal? And a head.
That'd be impressive from Burnley. Do you mean Michael Dawson?
Michael Dawson, that's what I meant. Michael Dawson, my bad.
Michael Keane signs with them. First thing, bam.
There you go.
Top corner.
See, but the thing is, you knew what I meant. So.
I did. I sure did. And I didn't have to be a jerk about it, but I was. So, there you go. All right. So, where do you think we end up point-wise this week with this many matches on?
There's going to be a lot of goals scored this week. Everybody likes to hype up Boxing Day. The English media likes to do it. I think I read a post today from the 1963 Boxing Day with the most goals, where there was 2 games over 8 goals by one team.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anything to go crazy like that, but with 7 games on the tilt, it's probably going to be about 30 goals scored. I think there's going to be a lot of goals scored in this game. This might be a 200-point week.
Wow, that'd be crazy, but I mean, a lot of the big clubs are playing a lot of the small clubs, so it could get out of hand. And you already mentioned the Swansea West Ham could have the highest goal tally of them all.
With Alexis, Payet, and De Bruyne all on the slate, that's
free kick
goals. That's a lot of firepower.
I won't go that far, but I'll say like 180. It's gonna be high.
It's gonna be really high.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, talk us through your team.
I just made a random team like I do every week. I just threw some guys in there. I basically wanted to throw a 1-star player in there above 9,000 and then fill in the rest with cheaper guys. I didn't go crazy and try to put De Bruyne and Payet in one team and then fill in with scrubs. So this is what I came in with. I got Darren Randolph in goal, 4,700. I got Marcus Alonso at 6,300. Phil Jones at 3,300. To the midfield, I have Cesc Fabregas at 6,000. Gaston Ramirez at 7,200. Through the forwards, I have Alvaro Negredo at 7,000. I have Islam Slimani at 6,300. And then my utility, I have Ibrahimovic there currently, but I could switch to basically anyone. I could switch
every week. I love your chalk util.
Yeah,
I don't know how you always have enough money left, but every time I see your team's like meh, and then I see your util and it's like your 3rd most expensive player, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. So. I basically put Ibrahimovic in my utility spot, but if I want to change out one player for minus 100, I could put Dimitri Payet in there at 9,300. So I'm flip-flopping around. I haven't submitted it yet. It's one of the ones I've just been toiling with while I've been speaking dramatically about the fantasy slate this week. So this is what I came up with. What did you get?
Well, we'll get to that in a second. You think Big Seski starts?
I think he does. If he sits a game, I think it's going to be the second game.
Fair enough. For me, I brought a visual aid here for the folks at home. I got Darren Randolph in goal on 4,700 against Swansea. I went cheapo defense with Callum Chambers and Phil Jones, your boy. Then apparently went against a lot of my picks here as I'm looking at it. I made this before I prepped for the show, so there you go. But I have Pogba at 7,500 instead of Herrera. I have Silva at 8,100 instead of Sane. I have Andy Carroll, Dimitri Payet, and Michy Batshuayi. There could be changes there. I'm not super sure I love the Carroll Payet thing, but as we mentioned, there could be goals in that, so that might actually end up being an interesting team. Still don't love that midfield. I could mess around with that a little bit. Maybe upgrade Batshuayi. But all in all, yeah, that was the first team I made. Didn't really look at it until I brought it up just now, and now kind of hate it a little bit. But it happens. You get to make a lot of lineups. It's plenty of fun. But with that, we are out of time. So Rob, why don't you tell the folks where they can reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Smokey_Loogie, or you can find my writings on fantasy at Razball.com.
Yep, big thanks to VIP-Bet for hosting this. I am Kevin DeVries at KevRuff on Twitter. We also host the FPL Roundtable, which you can find at EPL Roundtable and at EPL Index. You can listen to it at allinsportstalk.com or at allinsportstalk on Twitter, also on iTunes, and other stuff. Oh, right, you write for Razball, and I write for theeaglesbeak.com. As I said at the top of the show, not really sure how any of our fantasy stuff is going to be laid out schedule-wise over this very busy period, but you can check either of our Twitters, and I'm sure we'll keep you updated over there. Thanks once more to VIP-bet.com for letting us do this, and we will be back at an undetermined time to bring you plenty more fantasy advice, and we hope you cash.
We're looking forward to hearing from you. Get in touch with us. VIP Bet, your place to win.